Okay, welcome to Endgame Exclam, double Exclam. Or as somebody pointed out, triple Exclam, because there's Exclam in the title, followed by two Exclams. Okay, so today's theme is going to be me. So it's going to be my games. Although I do know that I am teaching a chess camp this week, or for you at home a year ago. And my other co-teacher person, I played him before you were born, and I'm going to show that game too, because I won. Okay, so this game was played in 1990, and I had the black pieces because I put black on the bottom. That way, if you know who shows up, we're good. So we have a rook and pawn endgame, and the question is, should I trade rooks? Should he trade rooks? Should nobody trade rooks? And in this position, I played the move e6, and it's white's move. So I put the onus on white. And the engine, today's engine, this game was played 27 years ago, so I don't know what the engine said then. It probably said, what's that engine? It says this is an equal position if white plays the correct move. But what the engine says and what a grandmaster like Ken West would think is different, much different. Because let's say, for example, every move you play draws, and your opponent has one move that draws in every position. Well, then you're better, because you have easy draw, and your opponent has to find the right move every time. So the engine says this is a draw, and it says equal, but white only has one way to draw, and the move that it wants white to play seems a little iffy to me. It's probably a move that I wouldn't play, so I guess if I was white, I would have lost too. Yeah. Okay, so white lost in a forced way, and grandmasters have a saying, so you can take a nap, Ken West, because you already know this. Yeah. When you go into a king and pawn ending, when it's not a king and pawn ending, and you decide to go into it, you have to be 100% sure. And it's hard to be 100% sure unless you already know the position, because there's a lot of king and pawn endings where you say something like, well, I'm a pawn up, but you're still losing, or easily drawing when you should have stayed in the other end game. Now here, my king's better than his king. My king's on the 4th rank, his king's on the 3rd rank, and my king is next to one of his pawns, and his king is not near any of my pawns. So I prefer black. And let's see if anybody in the audience can guess what move the engine wants to play for white. Not Ken West, because that's not fair, but somebody else. What should white do? Who has the courage of their convictions to suggest a move? Not I. I use the engine. Even at home, they're quiet. They're like, don't call on me. Because they know I will call on them at home. I've done it before. Anybody? Bueller? I gave a long preamble. You guys should have analyzed it out when I was doing that. Okay, h4, that's a move. That's an interesting move, actually. That puts sort of pressure on black to do something.
I'm trying to get the G file open for the rook.
Yeah. No, but h4 is forces black to make a decision whether to take a pawn or play g4. Okay, so this move wouldn't be the first move on my radar, but it wants to play f takes g5. And I think the idea is you're taking a pawn. That's always a good idea. Now, white has some extra squares for his rook that he didn't have before. And we can't take the pawn now. We legally can, but then rook takes c5 check is good. So the computer's calculated a million moves ahead and has concluded that this position is a draw. And if I was white, I'd be really scared here because I have a passed pawn and white doesn't. So, and my king's on the 4th rank, his king's on the 3rd rank. So if I was a betting man, I would just say that black's winning, but the computer just calculates all the way to the end of the game and says it's a draw. So, but yeah, if I was playing, I can't imagine, I was playing, I can't imagine very many people would do that, because you basically have to see all the way to the end, and strategically you're lost, because I have a passed pawn and you don't, and my king's better than yours. Okay, h4 is probably the second best move. My opponent played a move that loses immediately, so then he's just lost. And he made a move that you really shouldn't make unless you're really, really, really sure. He played rook takes b4. Yeah, and I wouldn't go into this. Now, of course, strategically, without doing any analysis, this helps black's pawn structure. My pawns are together. His a pawn can't move. You can imagine some king and pawn endings in this pawn structure where if you were in Zugzwang with white, you could play like a3 or a4. But now you can't do any of that. Unless you're in my camp here, then you could do it safely because your opponent doesn't know en passant. So it's great. So if you're white here in my camp, you're just going to queen. Yeah, no problem. But if you're in an advanced class and you know en passant, then it's not so good. Yeah. So I can't show this problem in my camp because that would confuse them. Okay. So my opponent played king e3. And he just thought he'd wait and it would be a draw. Just wait around. King d3, king e3. It's worth the wait. So if you want to win with black and your opponent's going to play king d3, king e3, like what's the winning try? I would give you a hint, but it would give it away. I can't even give you the hint. So I want the answer and I want the hint. Otherwise, don't answer.
C4?
What hint would I give, Ken West? What hint would I give?
It's explosive.
Yeah, he got the answer and the hint. Very good. Yeah. So, yeah, c4. Yeah. Now, if I play c3, I'm pretty happy. So he took, and I took. And now, I want to do that. And he doesn't get to move. Yes. No. Okay. So he played. He stopped it. I hate when my opponent does that. King d2. Yeah. Otherwise, I do what I said. Okay. Now, if I want to win, I have to calculate if I do that and he does that and we both queen and stuff like that, which I already calculated. Otherwise, I can't win. So I got to do this, and everybody tries to win. Everybody's happy. Okay. And when I calculated this, there was only one move here I had to calculate. Even though white has 11. Yeah. White has 11 legal moves, right, Grandmaster West?
Sure.
Okay. Oh, I only looked at one. The other 10, I don't look at at all because I have easy win against all 10. The same win. This move, I can't play the move I would win with, so I have to analyze it. So let me ask it this way. If it was black's move, what's a really easy way for black to win with no calculation necessary? You're like, let me calculate, I'll get back to you. F5, I'd have to calculate. I'm too old for that. Well, actually, it was 1990, so you're right. I was young in 1990. I could have calculated it. Yeah. So I have passed pawns, and he has a passed pawn. So if I stop his passed pawn, I'm done calculating. So I just go here, and then I stop his passed pawn. Yeah. And then he can't stop my 2 pawns. He can block them, but I take his pawn. So if I go here, I win immediately. I just stop his pawn. And you all know, except maybe for a couple of you, when the pawns are connected, or even when they're not, a king can't take both of them, because when he takes the back pawn, I queen the forward pawn. So for example, I'll give you a good example. That's a good example. Okay, so I go win his pawn, hooray. And even if he plays, well, actually, I would play f5 here, but it doesn't matter. Yeah. And you can never take the back pawn, because I queen the front pawn, and taking the front pawn only happens in my chess camp. And then white would win. Wow. Take all the pawns. Man, good for white in my chess camp. Yeah, they don't care about legal moves too much. Okay, so my opponent stopped all of my evil intentions. He played. He stopped king d6 and that. Yeah. Now he's going to queen. I hate when that happens. You know what I like though? When I queen first. Yeah, exactly. Man, that was a really complicated Pulp Fiction quote. Wow. Okay, you got to really know Pulp Fiction to understand that, but I do. Okay, so we queened. You look at the Fisher movie, both queen, but I didn't take his queen. Darn. Okay, now if I trade queens, then I win because I have a passed e-pawn. If I don't trade queens, he'll check me for another 27 years, and I won't be able to give the lecture. Okay, but even when the endgame started and before I played c4, I saw this position, and I could force the trade of queens. Unfortunately, I'm not a genius because every move trades queens according to the engine. All of them do. So yeah, I played one of them. So he can never go to the A file because I'll check and take his queen. He can never go to this diagonal because I'll check and take his queen. And he can not go to these squares because I'll play queen d5 check. Queen d5 check is my plan. I don't care if it's legal. I'm a grandmaster now. It's funny, Groningen 1990. I was an IM then for a short while. Okay. And my rating was higher then than it is now. Darn. Okay, so obviously there's a lot of moves he can't make. He can't play king c6 because I skewer his king and queen. He plays king c4. I play queen d4 check. He has 2 legal moves, and then I play queen d5 check and trade queens. So he played king b5, and I played queen b2 check. Again, you can't ever go to the A file. You can't go to c6. And it doesn't matter if you go to c4 or c5. I go check and check. So he resigned here. But I'll play them out for your edification. And I could win this. I'm good. Yeah, and the same. So when I played c4, I saw the final position. But in this position, when he played rook takes b4, he didn't really have an idea to draw except to move his king back and forth. And then I have to play c4 to try to win. And then it wins. So yeah, it wasn't a good move on his part. But for a lot of people, they're like, well, that's too complicated and that's too far ahead. I agree. So you shouldn't play rook takes b4 then. If it's too complicated and too far ahead, and you're like, I hope this draws. I mean, see, the thing is, if I take his rook and he plays b takes c4 check, my king's going back. I don't want to do that. So if he's not worried about me playing rook takes rook, then why is he taking my rook unless he's sure it draws when it's losing? So yeah, not good. And I didn't talk to him after the game because I don't, and if I did, I forgot. Good excuse. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you for coming. No, I have 5 more positions. So this is very funny. I have a funny story about this game. I'm sure Ken West could talk about games he played in 1990 and tell me stories about the game that aren't related to chess. Okay, so this was in Antwerp, which is in what country? That's not a country. That was Grandmaster Ken West. Anyone?
I think it's Belgium.
You think it's Belgium because it is, and I lived in Belgium. So there you go. I lived in Brussels, of course. Antwerp known for diamonds. Yeah, there you go. And
When you lived in Brussels, were you a little sprout?
no, Spencer was. Yeah. Okay. So I wasn't sure what's the answer, so I waffled over that. Yeah, they don't get it at home. They're like looking in the dictionary. What's going on? Okay, so the reason this game is funny is somewhere around time control, like move 40, my brother was visiting me in Europe during the tournament. And he drove me to the tournament. He rented a car. I didn't have a car in Europe. And he said, he's going to drive around and look at Antwerp, which I've never done. So I played chess there. Anyway, he came back at some point, and I was still playing, of course. Karen knows what I'm talking about. When we come back, she's still playing. So anyway, we got to move 40, and I was walking around, and he said, I'm thinking of going to the zoo, or maybe your game's going to end in a minute, and we'll, what do you think? And I said, this game's never going to end, so you can leave and just never come back. And when you come back, maybe I'll be done. He's like, all right. And he left, and my game ended in 2 minutes. So I stayed around like an hour waiting for him. That was my fault. So always your opponent can make a horrible blunder, and then where's your ride, right? Okay, so I took the bishop because I'm good. And we got to this position. And you can argue who's better because both sides have advantages. Black has a lot more space on the king side, but I'm not sure that's good for him or me. Either he's closing in on my king or his king has no defense. I'm not sure which. His knight's really good, and so is my bishop. So I don't know. I know one thing. I have the D file. And he has the C file, but, so what? Can't really do anything there.
So what does Dr. say in this position?
No comment. That would give you too much information. Yeah. We'll talk about it after. Yeah. Okay, so my opponent played queen e5 because you should always play in the center. Yeah, okay. And I attacked his rook because they might not see it. Like you guys at home didn't see it. and he moved it. Now, I thought the queen was good on e5, and he could either move his queen back towards his king for defense, or he could try to infiltrate and attack me. So I gave him the choice. I'm like, what are you going to do? Show me what you got, right? Don't sue me, Rick and Morty. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, you're going to come in here, or you're going to go back there. Got to make a decision. Now, I know this guy. In fact, I haven't seen him maybe since this game, but he's a very aggressive person in general. So he's not going back. So he played here. Now, the engine says like, that pawn doesn't matter. Just go here. Rawr. Okay, but I'm always very scared because he was a big guy. So I played here. Okay, and I figure I'll play rook d6 when I feel like it, but I'm not going to lose any pawns. Okay, and again, it's unclear to me whether black pushing all his kingside pawns is giving him an attack or just making his king exposed, and it's probably just unclear. Sometimes it is one or the other. Luckily, in this particular position, it seems to me my bishop is dominating his knight. His knight doesn't really have, I mean, his knight has d3, but I take it. But that's a pretty good square, d3. But I stopped knight d3 with all my pieces. Okay, he played h4, which I agree with. Might as well checkmate me. And I played rook d6. And he played a very passive move here. But when the game started, the engine said it preferred white. And now it really prefers white. I think it doesn't like queen b2 because queen b2 like pretends to threaten stuff, but the computer's like, there's no threats there. So the computer prefers black defending and being worse than attacking and losing quickly. Now this is move 41. I don't know what's going on. I might lose in one move. I get made on the back rank. I might win. So my brother went to the zoo, I think. It was the zoo. I'll probably get a comment on my YouTube video. My brother, that wasn't the zoo. I went somewhere else. Probably stealing diamonds. I don't know. Oh, wait, that was Snatch. Okay. So he played rook b7. If rook b7's right, then I don't want to be right. Wait a minute. How's that go? Yeah, rook b7, you can't do that. Rook can't be on b7. I see a lot of low-rated players doing that. They make the most passive move in chess history, and they're like, my pawn's attacked. And I'm like, yeah, but your rook's on b7. You can't play chess like that. You're supposed to put your pieces active. So he did, and then he's like, my pawn's attacked. So slightly inconsistent. Okay, I was younger then, so I wasn't scared. So I played queen d5. Now I'd be afraid of getting mated because there's nothing near my king. But back in 1991, I would actually calculate. That's why my rating was higher then than it is now. Okay, and yeah, I got a lot of batteries going on here, so the computer's not going to die. Yeah. Batteries everywhere. Okay, now he played for tricks, but as we all know, yeah, never been to the club before, right? So you've seen my videos. Yeah, that's right. At least one of them. Yeah, okay. So he played rook g7, and I was like, all right, rook d8, rawr. The computer actually wants me to take a pawn. What a greedy computer. Okay, and I wanted to play queen a8 and mate. That seemed like a good plan. Okay, and he decided to checkmate me by playing queen c1. Now, he never really has back rank mate because, as we all know, I always have my favorite move. Yeah, bishop f1. Yeah. So I'm not ever getting mated. Okay, now he knew I could play bishop f1, so in this position, he played a really crazy move. Now he is losing, but his move is super losing because he tried to trick me. And here, he's already has a queen c1 check as a blunder, but he played for one trick. So if it was like a 1 minute game, his move's okay. But it's a slow game. So anyway, about 3 moves ago, my brother left for wherever he was going, and then my game ended here. So I had to wait. Now, one of the reasons he's not mating me is my bishop controls f1. So he tried to dissuade me from controlling f1. And this is an endgame lecture, but I want to let you guys know when it's an endgame of queens on the board or queens and rooks, there's a lot of checkmating going on. In fact, I've won and lost a lot of games in the endgame because my opponent wasn't thinking about mate because it was an endgame. So they made their king unsafe, and with my 2 pieces left on the board, I still mated them. So you always got to think of checkmate. So my opponent played knight takes b3, which I'm sure you're all thinking about. Right, Ken?
Yes.
Okay. And the idea is if I take, then he plays h3 check. I play the only legal move. My bishop's not covering f1 anymore. So he plays check, and he keeps checking me, and then I get mated. Yeah. So he knew I couldn't take his knight, so he figured a pawn is a pawn. And the engine says that's a terrible move. Not because of what I did, which was the best, but a lot of other moves win too. Like you don't want your knight on b3, and you don't want to give me a free move. Okay? But after knight b3, I have a beautiful win. Now this is very funny. I've shown this to many students. Some of them solve it really quickly. Some don't solve it quickly. My favorite was Dimitar. I was at a chess camp in Vegas, and he walked into my class because I was ending and he was starting. Sort of like here when that guy left and I showed up.
Pretty nice. I know him really well.
Yeah. And he was like, oh, he saw these papers I had, and he saw this position on one of the papers. And he looked, and he looked. He's like, I don't know. And then I showed him. He's like, oh, I like that. Can I keep this? And I was like, yeah, okay. So he kept this. He probably doesn't have it now. It was probably like 15 years ago. Yeah. So he liked the answer. So you have to like it too. He's better than you. Maybe not Grandmaster Ken West, but anybody else. Yeah.
Queen sack.
He would like that. Queen sack, rook sack. All these visitors are like from Chicago. They're pretty aggressive. Pretty aggressive, you know, yeah.
Rook to h8, yeah.
What? Well, Grandmaster says rook to h8, so I defer. Better than my move. Although I did play rook to h8. That's true. And then I waited an hour for my brother. He said, you told me the game was going to take a long time. I'm like, I don't know. Queen a8 also wins, but it takes like 10 moves. Rook h8 doesn't take very long. I like mating my opponent when every move is check. I prefer that. I can analyze that, especially when they have one legal move. I like that. Now what, Grandmaster?
Queen to e8.
Yeah, close enough. If it was e8, you wouldn't win.
Yeah.
Better be d8. Yeah. Now, rook g8, I'm good at analyzing.
Right.
I'm good at that. And this I'm also good at analyzing. Go, Grandmaster.
Oh, queen takes pawn.
You didn't see it when you sacked your rook? What? No?
Don't worry about things.
No comment? Okay, yeah. Yeah. Oh, I have mate. That's lucky. Yeah, right. So, yeah, I guess his king wasn't. It's funny, his rook on g7, that's the worst. You really need g7 for your king. Yeah, rook on g7, that's not good defense. Yeah. Okay, so I played rook h8 and he resigned. Yeah.
So what if before he moved the knight, he'd push the pawn on the h-file?
Yep, okay, and I take.
Now your king's up there.
Yeah, but I want a pawn. Also, if I move again, I might play king g2. I mean, I'm going to play rook h8 mate and still mate you. I'm still threatening that mate. Yeah, but if you stop it, I'll play king g2, then your h-pawn is gone. So, yeah, king g2 is pretty safe. But when you have an h-pawn, it's not. Yeah. And he did something which I tell my students they do a lot, and eventually they stop. No, they don't. Matt Larson did. They fade. They play pretty good, then they're like, that's good enough. Ken West specialty. Plays 2,800 strength. Then he's like, okay, I lose. Yeah. Yeah. So he played pretty well that game, and then when I started showing you the game, he didn't play well. Yeah. Before that, he played fine, but he said that's enough. I played good enough. He was a visitor from the Netherlands. I was living in Belgium, so he should let me win. Right? That makes sense. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay. I'd tell you a funny story, though. When I lived in Belgium, I played in a tournament, and I won top Belgian. And the other Belgians were like, wait a minute, he's not Belgian. And then they were like, yeah, he lives here, so we give him the top Belgian prize. And they said, if there was a top American prize, would he win it? And they were like, better win it. So yeah, that was very suspicious. Yeah, why not? Okay. All right, so I got this position in France, okay? And you can see we're in France because it looks like white likes to retreat. Look at his queen on g1. Right, Ben Simon? Yeah. Okay, so this position is pretty drawn, right? Because it's really drawn. Okay, but I don't like draws. Rawr. So I play on and on and on. And then when he fell asleep, I had an analog clock. I turned it to one on. Oh no, they don't have analog clocks now. Okay, the kids don't get it. They're like, "What's the analog clock?" Yeah, you can't cheat anymore with the digital clocks. How are you supposed to? I know you can cheat. You're telling me. Okay, so I put my opponent to sleep. I put him to sleep, and I play Queen D4. I'm hoping he takes, and I take with a pawn, and I have a passed pawn. That's better than I got now. And he's like, "Nah, you can't have a passed pawn." Okay, so nothing happens. Nothing happens. It's like the Blair Witch Project. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. And then at the end of the lecture, everybody's pissed. Right? Okay, Rook F1, there. And now, in a strange turn of events, again I try to trade queens, because if he takes, I think I can sort of get in there and make it hard for him. Probably it's a draw, but if my king's getting really active, sometimes I win the king and pawn ending, sometimes I win the rook and pawn endings. Probably a draw, but he didn't see any reason for that. Just, I can't do anything, so he didn't care. Then he tried to trade queens. And I was like, well, my king's not as good here, and his rook can start attacking my pawns because his rook will get active. The first active piece he had in the game. So I didn't trade queens. That was funny. And nothing happened. I threatened mate. He didn't see queen g2 mate, so I won. No, that's not true. He played. He did see it. 50-50. Queen g1 actually loses material. Rook g1. Yeah, queen g1, I play rook g2. I'm tricky. Yeah, yeah. So he played rook g1. And I was like, darn. All right. Nothing happened. And usually if you move around a lot, nothing happens, they sort of ease up. They're like, yeah, he's just kidding. He's just moving around doing nothing. And in this position, he played rook e1, I played here, and he played the losing move. Not easy to do. Notice his rook's attack with check, so he stopped that. And his move still lost. Yeah, truth hurts. It actually reminds me of the previous game, because the previous game, the reason I was mating my opponent was his rook was like blocking his king. So this guy did a good job repeating that. Always repeat. What was the dumb move that he played? Queen b4. Queen b4 is probably fine. You're too good. You try to make a bad move and it's fine. Yeah, he played rook g1. Safe. The only thing I can attack is his g2 pawn. And what's the winning move? All at once? Everybody? Anybody? Bueller? And they're screaming at home, quiet. They can hear you. That's how loud they were. You're screaming the wrong answer, but it's okay. Oh, Grandmaster Ken West wants to weigh in.
Rook takes pawn.
Wow. Man, Grandmaster Ken West is going to we're going to take the quotes away. Yeah, rook takes f3. Yeah. Now, when I played rook takes f3, now I'm really going to surprise. Now, Ken West ain't going to get this one. What is the main move I analyzed here? What was the move I was concerned with? I wasn't concerned with him hanging mate in 1. That didn't concern me. If he takes my rook, I play queen h3 mate. That wasn't concerning. But I was concerned with something.
Queen to d2.
Where?
d7.
Oh, queen here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't concern me. That's just a move. I move my rook, I'm a pawn up. Yeah. You had the right piece, though.
Okay.
Yeah. What's the move you would never play? That's the answer. That'll give you a little help. He's like, I never play a lot of moves. I have a lot of suggestions. Yeah. This is the move I was analyzing. Yeah. Yeah. Right, Ken? Ken's like, what? Yeah. So I analyze this, defend my queen, so he has to take it, and then move his king somewhere, and I go here, and then never play f6, zugzwang, and I win.
Nice.
Yeah, if my pawn was already on f6, I would not win. So I had that extra tempo. Yeah, and then, okay, yeah.
Sweet.
And then there'll be stripper chess, because I'll take it all off. Is that getting cut?
No, that's
No? Okay, good. Instantly, no. Absolutely not. Yeah, all right. Okay, so if queen takes g5 check would draw, I wouldn't have played rook f3, although I don't know what I would have done. I would have played anyway and hoped he didn't play it. Okay, so he played some random legal move. I'm a pawn up, and his e-pawn's weak. So, yeah. I still tickled him a lot. Yeah, and I actually gave a pawn away to mate him, because mating your opponent's good. I learned a lot from a game I lost, which somehow I haven't shown yet. I lost to somebody famous. Half of you have heard of him. More than half. Ooh, more than half. Now I'm going crazy. I'm going to say more than half. David Bronstein. Wow, he shook his head. Wow, you shook your head? You were like giving all the right answers.
I'll admit
I mean, the guy played for World Championship with Botvinnik. So, I mean, yeah. You heard of him? What about you, Karen? Yeah. You have. And you, I don't, yeah. And you have.
Of course.
Well, of course.
Only when
Man, what an insult. No, my wife haven't. You heard of him, right, Karen?
Is he like the greatest player to never be world champion?
Some people say Bronstein, Keres, Korchnoi are the three great, and Rubinstein. Those are the ones they like to put in there. What about Morphy? Ha, I got him. I got him. All right. Yeah. Bronstein was ahead by a game after 22 games in the 24-game match, and he was better in game 23, and he lost. I should show that in game. And then the match was a tie, and in those days, whoever the champion still. So he played one match of the World Championship. It was 12-12, and Botvinnik retained his title. So Bronstein would have been world champion if things had turned out differently in game 23. Then you would have heard of him. Well, yeah, Botvinnik, Bronstein. Yeah, I know him. Yeah. I actually played Bronstein more than once. I won once. I lost once. I don't know if we had a draw. Maybe I imagined the draw. Yeah, I imagined that. And I talked to him a lot, and he was pretty bitter. Anyway, I lost a queen and rook ending where I was better, and I had two passed pawns. Sounds good, but he mated me, so I lost. Yeah, when you try to mate somebody with a queen and rook, you're going to mate him. Got queen and rook. So I tried to mate this guy. I have a queen and rook, and his king is not doing well. Yeah, he defended with his queen. Not a good idea. Yeah. Okay, now he played for tricks, but that didn't work because it was 1992. Now it would work, but 92 I was good. So if he moves his queen to the H file, queen F3 is pretty good, right? The motorcyclist agrees. Did it pick that up? Probably. If he moves his queen somewhere else, queen H6 check, queen H2, rook H3 is good. Queen H2, queen check, and rook H3. So he played for tricks. Rook F1. Oh, sneaky. So I think he was hoping to go into the worse/lost king and pawn endgame. Queen G4, queen G3, and rook G1. I think this is what he was hoping for. I think. And I'm winning here too, but now he can keep playing because he doesn't get mated. But I played a quicker win, which I already told you, so it makes it easier. Yeah, H6, but yeah, close enough. Yeah. If you do notation, you'd actually be a grandmaster. Yeah. And he resigned because his only legal move is this. Wait, I didn't see king G1. Dang, I'm no good. Yeah, king G1, I play rook takes queen check. Or I play queen E3 check and torture him, I don't know. And then rook H3, and I'm good at queen up. So dead drawn position, I won because he missed one tactical trick because I put him to sleep. Yeah. Which in the end game, you can put people to sleep, checkmate them. Wait, that's the same game. Wow. What? Okay. Last but not least, although least and least. Okay, so as you all know, there's many grandmasters in the area. We're having the Grand Chess Tour. Well, we were. And we have Grandmaster Yasser Seirawan, Grandmaster Christian Carilla. I've been called a Grandmaster. Grandmaster Alejandro Ramirez is doing Spanish commentary, even though his Spanish is iffy. And the other Grandmaster that's in town, and there's probably more, I'm probably missing a few, is Eric Hansen. He's doing the camp with me. He's usually sitting here lecturing the kids, and they're throwing things at him. You know. Not because they're kids, they just don't like, Eric Hansen gets stuff thrown at him. Okay, normal. He's a chess brawl, you know how it is. So this game was played so long ago that I was higher rated than him. That's how long ago it was. 7 years ago. Now his rating is 200 points higher, and mine's 60 points lower. That's fair, right? Yeah. So he was 17 during this game. And I decided to play really quickly and throw the win away. And he thought, yeah, you're winning, so he played fast too, and I won. Then when the game ended and we used an engine, we were like, oh, we're not very good. So for a long time, I thought this was an easy win because I'm queening and his king can't come because my rook is stopping him. I got an extra pawn just in case. So I thought this was no problem. And he played c6. And here, black has one way to win, and it's very tricky. And the move I played does not win. And I just thought, oh, this is easy. King to d6 is very risky due to rook d8 check. Man, if king d6 did lose to rook d8 check, that would be a really good move. Then you'd have nothing. Yeah. Unfortunately, in fact, I've done that before. In Belgium, I was playing in a game 30 against Richard Polacek, an IM, who's still an IM. And we were checking back and forth. I didn't want to draw. He offered me a draw. And instead, I played something like king d6, and he skewered my king and rook and beat me. So I didn't draw. Yes. Yeah. All right. So this requires a lot of calculation and understanding and weirdness. So I played the obvious move, which I say never to play. You watch all my videos. Never play. I guess he doesn't. Right, or extrapolate a little. Come on, Ken West.
I don't see any way to play F3. So.
Okay, F3. That's the way to play it.
Oh, you're going that way. Okay.
Didn't it? What? So mad.
I was looking for.
I mean, I'm black, so I'm going that way. I'm black. I'm black. Yeah. I'm always at the bottom in case my comer comes in.
You say never play that.
Well, I say never play, I mean with white. So I'm half kidding. And I'm half kidding when I say it anyway. So I'm a quarter kidding. Okay, or wait, am I? Not sure how much I'm kidding. Anyway, I'm right, because F3 is a horrible blunder. And I'll explain why. And then I'll go back and show you the way to win. So in this position, white has one move that draws. Maybe we were just playing fast, so I won. Yeah. So I'm going to queen, so you should stop me. But he didn't stop me, so I queened. Yes. So what move stops you from queening? Recommended by me. He's like, it's too obvious. He won't answer. Yeah, he's like, come on. Too easy. Yeah, but we have a saying in chess that you know, Grandmaster Ken West. Rooks belong behind pass pawns. Yeah, rook f8. So he should have played rook f8. And now I was going to play king e4. I don't even see another move. Play rook f1, he plays c7. So okay. I just thought I'm winning. Like, no problem. And he plays king c5. And now my back pawn's not too important. Obviously, if my pawn wasn't here, this is a dead draw. We agree to a draw. But with this pawn, you would think I can get some king and pawn ending and then queen my pawn. Or I can get a rook and pawn ending and queen my pawn. But I can't do anything. So, for example, if I play e5, why not use my pawn? c7, rook check, king d6. And I can't move. I don't have any moves. I can't play king e3 because I'm not going to save my pawn then. He'll queen and my pawn's weak on e5. I can't play f2.
You're playing for a win now.
I'm playing for a win, but now I can't win. My back pawn, which I assume would help me win, doesn't do anything. Yeah. You like white in this position. You're like, why isn't white playing for a win? Yeah.
What if you advance your rook to c3, then that protects your pawn on the file, and then when he moves...
Right, he queens. Yeah. Then I take, right?
Oh, yeah, and then you lose it.
Yeah, and then no, I mean, I'll draw, but I'm not even better. Yeah. I'll draw because I'll make him sack his rook for my pawn. Yay, I drew. Wow, that was lucky. Yeah, but I mean, like, I can't win at all. So if he played rook f8, he would have drawn. And I would have been very upset because I was just playing fast. Yeah. Now, if I play the right move here, I'm winning. I have to play rook c1 check. And the reason is this forces him to make a decision. If he plays king d3, then I take and I win. I'm 2 pawns up. Okay? So he has to make the decision of king b5. Okay? And now I play f3. And if he plays rook f8, you might say, wait a minute, this looks like what we looked at before. What? Let's go back. When I played f3 and he played here, when he didn't play here, in this position, if I play rook here check and he plays king b5, that transposes to what we just looked at, which was a win for black. But he doesn't play king b5. I didn't check him right away, so he can play king d3 now. If he played king d3 with his rook on h8 and my pawn on f4, I'm just winning. Now I don't win anything. I take his pawn, takes my pawn, it's a draw. So that's funny. Like sometimes king c5 draws, sometimes king d3 draws. So what I have to do is play rook check first, and then he can't do both. He has to pick the one that I can beat. I can beat either one of them as long as I know which one he's doing. Obviously, I can beat king d3 because I take a pawn, 2 pawns up. Okay, so he plays king b5, and I play f3, and he plays rook f8. And now I have one move that wins. I'm not even sure I would find it in the game, even if I played it correctly. I might not find it here. Because the obvious move is king e4, and that's a draw. It's good for black, but the computer draws anyway. But I have a move that wins pretty easily that I might not have found. Even when I play right, I can't win. Playing wrong, I won quickly. That's the way to do it. Play the wrong move, the guy plays the wrong move back, then you win. Play the right move, it's tough. Extra pawn's not as good as I thought it was.
So are you going to end up queening the e-pawn with this?
I hope so. If I play the right variation, I will queen the e-pawn after we're done, way after we're done. We're going to stop way before that.
Okay. I'm slow.
I'm slower because every move I made was wrong and all my analysis was wrong.
Do you have to give up on your pawn and f-file so he wins?
Sometimes you have to give up.
So can you play king to d6?
Close. Slightly better than d6. Yeah, king d5, yeah. Because this way you're going to win the pawn, you're getting the opposition so you can check him and force him to the a file, and you can also play king e4. So for example, if he checked me, now I have the right tempi. His rook's not behind my pawn anymore. So if he goes behind my pawn, I got a free king e4 in. Then I can win by 1 tempo. And see anything. Yeah. So now when he takes my pawn, I once again have one move that wins. Rook b1, yeah. His king moves to the a file, doesn't matter where I take, and this is an easy win because his king doesn't exist. Yeah. And the computer's like, announces mate already. The computer's tough. Yeah. So the only way to win from this position was rook check, and then f3, and then king d5.
But you played f3 first.
Right. So I won quicker because I played worse. Yeah. So I played f3, and rook f8 draws. And he played c7. Yeah. And now every move wins. If you say a reasonable move, you'll win. Rook c1's reasonable. I played a quicker win, but rook c1 wins. I played f2. And the thing is, I'm threatening to queen, but I don't care if he queens. Because if he queens, I'm going to check and take his queen. So I don't care if he queens. Yeah. He does care if I queen, because I'm queening with check. So he cares a little bit. But if he queens, I just check and take it. So he played rook f8, thinking I might play rook check, and then he would play king d3, and then if I take and he takes, it's a draw again. But again, I don't care if he queens. So I queened. Yeah, I don't care if he queens. Check, and then he resigned, because if he takes and takes, he's not threatening to queen, because I have this. The good player is always lucky. Yeah. So when the game ended, I was like, yeah, I was always winning. There's no problem. And then when I looked at it with an engine, I was like, oh, that's a blunder, that's a blunder, that's a blunder. All right. Yeah. So yeah, after the move c7, I'm winning again. Yeah. Teach him to try to queen. Gets me. Yeah. And then we don't play very well, so they make us teach camp upstairs to little 5-year-olds who can't make legal moves. That's what we do now. Yeah. And some of them can make legal moves because of us. We're pretty good teachers. Yeah. Most of them can't, but yeah. Yeah, and also I showed this game recently to Nakamura, and he thought the game would conclude f1 equals knight, c8 equals knight. Yeah. And then we both resigned. Yeah. Right, Ben Simon?
I
Yeah, no, he knows, yeah. And I was like, we didn't do that, but we considered it. Yeah. And that's why, because of this game and all the night promotions, what did I do 2 months ago, or 3 months ago? I beat Mamadjarov. See, I was able to do that with all the night promotions. Yeah. All right, that was Endgame double Exclam plus tax.